you have a small firm that makes a few products or sell a few services, change you will have a small number of suppliers. It coordinates your supplier orders and deliver by using just a telephone and fax machine. So, in this chapter, I will present subtopic 9.2, how the supply chain management system coordinate planning, production and logistics with supplier. I, Mohammed Zaid ASHRAF bin Khariri, my matric number is I18303400. Subtopic 9.2 is the subtopic in the chapter 9 that achieving operational excellence and customer intimacy enterprise application in this management information system subject. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, in the first slide is the supply chain. What is the supply chain? Supply chain is a network of organization and businesses process for procuring raw material and transform that material into a intermediate and finished product and distribute that finished product to customer. Basically, goods start out as a raw material, and as they move through the supply chain, they transform into an intermediate product and finally into a finished product or a solid product. And this finished product are shipped to the distribution center and from there to retailer and customer. Return item flow in the reverse direction from the buyer back to the seller. Such example is a Nike sneaker. Nike design, market and sell sneaker, sock, athletic clothing and accessories through the out the world. Its primary supplier are contract manufacturer with a factory in China, Thailand, Indonesia, Brazil and other some of country. This company fashion Nike is the finished product. Also, in the upstream version of the supply chain include the company supplier, the supplier in the process of managing relationship with the manufacturer. The downstream portion consists of the organization and process for distributing and delivering the product into the final customer, such as the two contract manufacturer for sneaker and only it is a upstream supply chain for sneaker sole. For the Nike, such example is the Nike supply chain actually comprise 1,000 of entity, and it's the downstream portion of its supply chains is also large and complex. On the slides of information system and supply chain management, efficiency in the supply chain such as part of shortage, underused plant capacity, excessive finished good inventory, or high transportation costs are caused by inaccurate or untimely information. Manufacturer basically may keep too many parts in inventory because they do not know exactly when they will receive their next shipment from their supplier. Supplier may order too few raw material because they do not have precise information on their demand. This supply chain efficiency with as much as 25% of the company operating costs. Okay, if a manufacturing had a perfect information about exactly how many units of product customer wanted, when they wanted them and when they could be produced, it will be possible to implement a high efficiency that called just-in-time strategy. Okay, when one recurring problem in supply chain management is called a bullwhip effect, in which information about the demand for a product gets distorted as it passes from one entity to the next across the supply chain. The bullwhip is attained by reducing uncertainty about demand and supply when all members of the supply chain have accurate, up-to-date information. If all supply chain members share dynamic information about inventory level, schedule, forecast and shipment, they have more precise knowledge about how to adjust their sourcing, manufacturing and distribution plans. Okay, on the supply chain management software. Supply chain software is classified or determined as a AD software to help businesses or company plan their supply chain, or software to help them execute their supply chain step. Okay, the first supply chain management software is the supply chain planning system that enable the firm to model its existing supply chain and generate demand focus for product or finished good and develop the optimal sourcing and manufacturing plan. The second is a demand planning system, which is determine how much product a business need to make to satisfy of all its customer demand. JDA software, SAP and Oracle all offer supply chain management solution. And last but not least is supply chain execution system that manage the flow of product through distribution center and warehouse to ensure that the product are delivered to the right location at most efficient manner. This system track the physical status of good and the management of material, warehouse and transportation operation, include the financial information involve all parties together. Okay, global supply chain and the internet. Before internet have in this global supply chain coordination was hampered by the difficulty of making information flow smoothly among disparate internal supply chain system for purchasing, material management, manufacturing and distribution. It's difficult to share information with the external supply chain partner because the system of supplier, distributor or logistic provider were based on incompatible technology platform and standard. Company do the supply chain management system enhanced with the internet technology supply of this integration. A manager in that company use a web interface to tap to using into a supplier system that determine whether the inventory and production capability create a mesh of demand for the firm product, and the business partner also use that web-based supply chain management tool to collaborate online on the focus of the product to get the schedule of production and logistic information to monitor the customer order status. Okay, on the global supply chain issue, company entering the international market outsourcing manufacturing operation. They obtain a supply from the other country as well as selling their product to the abroad. The supply chain extend across multiple country and region. They have additional complexity and challenge to managing a global supply chain. Typically, global supply chain is a span greater geographic distance and time different than domestic supply chain and have participants from a number of countries. The internet also have the company to manage many of aspects in their global supply chain, include the sourcing, transportation, communication and also international finance. These logistic services web-based software offer to the customer a better view of the global supply chain. Customer can check a secure website to monitor inventory and shipment and help them run their global supply chain more efficiently. Okay, to the second last slide is the demand driven supply chain, from push to pull manufacturing and efficient customer response. To company reduce the operation cost, supply chain management system facilitate efficiency customer response by enabling the working of the business to be driven more by customer demand. On the push-based model, production master schedule are based on the focus or best guess of demand for product, and product are pushed to the customer with a new flow of information made possible by web-based tool or system. This supply chain management more easily follow a pull-based model. On the pull-based model, that also known as a demand-driven or book to order model, the actual customer order or purchase trigger event in the supply chain. This transaction if produce or production to deliver only what customer have order, move up the supply chain from retailer to distributor to manufacturing and eventually to supplier. And last but not least is business value of supply chain management system. Change management system enable firm to streamline both their internal and external supply chain process and provide management with more accurate information about what to produce, store and move. By implement a network that integrate supply chain management system, company mesh a supply to demand and reduce the inventory level to improve the delivery service and speed product time to market and use asset more effectively. And also total supply chain cost the represent by the majority of operating expenses for many businesses, and in some of the industry it approach by 75% of the total operating budget. Okay, that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you very much.